Yo, what's good, everybody? Another Beers of Barton. It is Friday, July 31st. Yep, last day of July. It's almost August. 2026. Hope everyone's having a great week. Looking forward to the weekend. This one's probably going to be one of the hardest episodes that I've done, but I felt like I wanted to do this. I jokingly say these episodes now have, changed so much over the years. This is kind of my own, therapy session, I think, at times. So I'm definitely going to use this as that. So here we go. The other day, yesterday, I had gotten a message, a Facebook messenger from a friend of mine's father. And I actually am not on Facebook Messenger, hardly at all. Instagram is my social media of choice. I do have Facebook. I look at it from time to time to keep up with people, but I don't really use it. I don't use the messenger aspect. I'm basically not on it. But for whatever reason, I checked it. I had noticed that a friend of mine's father had reached out to me Wednesday night at 6:45 at night. And I just responded and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just saw this." It didn't really click with me. It was just the previous night. It could have been a month ago for all I know. He's asked me to call him. And I said, "I'm sorry, I just saw this. I'm not on here that often, but, I'm around today. Just let me know, if you still want to chat, I can call you, hope all is well." And he was living in Oregon. He had recently moved to Georgia, but I didn't know that at the time, so I'm thinking it's 3 hours. So it's, it was 9:15 my time, so I'm at 6 in the morning for him. Mental note, I'll check this later. Well, he responded right away, "Please call me when you're available." So I was like, okay. I'll give you some more background. But I did call him back, and after a couple, "Hey, how are you? Good to hear from you." He let me know that his son, one of, if not my best childhood friend, had passed away. He had just been notified that Wednesday, and so he was letting me know. Had a really good conversation with him, and not exactly sure what happened yet. I believe there's an autopsy going on, so there'll be more information. But one of the hardest phone calls that I ever took, probably second hardest to, hear my dad, had a stroke. I've lost other friends, 2 other friends, years and years ago in car accidents. Those were very tough conversations too. But the interesting one about this is my buddy Jeremy. We were basically best friends growing up. My dad actually taught him in elementary school. So I knew him from a young age. I don't have any vivid memories of it, but we were friends, we'd hang out. And then as we got through the teen years, we actually went to high school together our senior year, 1 year, played basketball together at the small Christian school that I graduated from. But we were close, thick as thieves, as some would say. I spent a lot of time at his house. His parents had divorced, but his dad had built this beautiful house. Dad's a contractor at the top of the hills, the town just over from mine. And so we spent a lot of time there. Also, I didn't have a car, and Jeremy did. I didn't get a car until maybe a year or so later than that. I had my license, just couldn't afford a car. So we'd hang out there. His dad did travel for work. His parents had divorced, so it was just him and his brother and dad. And, we had some get-togethers, some parties. We were mischievous kids, did some stupid stuff, for sure. I won't implicate myself on this video, but you can put 2 and 2 together. But we were, really, really good friends, and for years and years and years, pretty big group of us. But me and Jeremy and I were, just always together. Me, him, and another, childhood friend of his, who I met obviously through him. And we just hung out all the time, years and years and years. Got into plenty of silly trouble together. And I met my beautiful wife, Jessica, now. And obviously, but we still all hung out. There's mutual friends. We did stuff together, bowling, whatever it was. And then, after a couple of years of dating Jessica, she got accepted to Sacramento State, which is about 90 miles north of San Francisco. So we moved up to Sacramento together, got an apartment. So we'd still come back, once or twice a month. It was an hour and a half drive, to see our families, see some friends. So we still stayed in touch. We saw each other. I know he came up and visited a couple times. And then, obviously as life goes on and, Jess and I got married and, we were still in Sacramento. And then we made the trip, the decision to move to North Carolina almost 20 years ago. Crazy enough, 2007. But, we still somewhat stayed in touch, I remember. But I lost, touch with a lot of, the people that I hung out with. Just stuff happens, right? Life goes on. And so I lost touch with him for probably a good 10, maybe even 15 years. And then I think it was either right before COVID or right when COVID started. So at least 5, 6, 7 years ago. He ran into my younger brother somewhere. And my brother reached out and said, "Hey, I ran into Jeremy. Wanted to see how you were doing. Do you mind if I share your phone number? He'd love to catch up with you." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He doesn't have my number. I've had the same number for 25, 30 years. But, people get new phones, contacts, maybe like delete it. It is what it is." Sure. So we connected again and just kind of caught up, and he had, been doing his thing. He was an EMT. I think he was living in Stockton at the time, which was, an hour and a half from where we grew up. I think he was in a relationship at the time, but he had bought a house in Hercules and was renting it out, and then he was out there, and then he ended up moving to Oakland, which is a town or two over from where we grew up, for like a year or so. And then he moved to Sacramento, West Sacramento, about a year and a half ago, bought like a condo, rented out one side, and he was fixing up the other side, man. Super handy guy. And so we would talk a lot, and then sometimes we wouldn't talk for a month, but we'd text. But we just really kind of rekindled our friendship, and it was just kind of nice. And he had so many stories and nice things to say about my dad, which always meant so much. And, we talked about the struggles he was going through in life and the challenges I had. And it was just good to reconnect. And like I said, it's my best friend, and of all the memories of, a young child up through the high school years. And then a little bit afterwards, like he was, the main person. He was always the constant. Other people came and went, or we met people, as we got older. But it was just shocking. I think the toughest part for me, besides obviously him actually being gone, was we texted about 2 weeks ago, just like, "Hey, how's it going?" He was like, "Hey, it's happening at work. Like, let's catch up." I'm like, "Sure, work's busy, but like I'm going to the beach next week. I'll try to give you a call, man. I should have some time." He's like, "Sounds good. Got a funny story for you." Great, man. Well, I never called him. Vacations are vacations. I was spending time with the family, and I just never got around to calling him. And I kind of regret that. I don't think it would have changed anything, obviously, but just to be able to talk to him again, see where he was at, because I hadn't talked to him on the phone for at least a couple weeks, maybe a month at this point, even though we had texted a little bit. And it was funny enough, I actually texted him yesterday morning, 20 minutes before I checked my Facebook Messenger to see his dad's note to call him. And I just said, "Hey, man, I just realized I haven't texted in a couple weeks. I didn't call you when I was at the beach. Apologize, but I would love to catch up with you. Let me know what your schedule's like. Let's catch up." And then saw the message a couple minutes later from his dad and got the news. So kind of crazy. His dad was very, very kind. He and his dad had been going through some stuff and wasn't as close. And he just shared with me, like, I really don't know who's in Jeremy's life right now. I don't know who are his friends. I don't know who he stays up with. Like, I'd really, really like to let people know, that Jeremy's passed, but I don't really know if you can do that for me, or if there's anyone you know of, and I was like, well, I don't really keep in touch with anyone, but let me think through it. I definitely will give it my best effort. And, his dad said that really nice words. And I spent a lot of time, almost like a second dad to me, just because I was around him so much as a young kid and a teenager especially. He definitely caught us doing some stupid stuff, as young teenage boys will do. And he just said, I don't know who is in Jeremy's life. I don't know who he considers friends, but if there's, you know, two people in the entire world that I know are friends of his and he's friends with, like, you're at the top of the list. So you were the one I reached out to, which meant a ton to me. I really appreciated those words. And also he was very close to my dad as well, and he spoke very highly of my father and just said, I know that you and Jeremy had kind of rekindled your friendship and were connected and you were talking with him. So I know your dad raised you right. And I respect your dad. I appreciate it. I can tell that he's passed on some of the high qualities that I respect him for. It just meant a lot to hear. It didn't take away any pain. I can only imagine what he's going through regardless of where their relationship was at. Losing a child is something I don't wish on anybody. And so I kind of racked my brain. I was going through some of the people I used to hang out with. I was able to reach out to some people and kind of let them know they appreciated it. I actually made a list. I'm going to let his father know who I contacted. And I had some people reaching out to me who I hadn't talked to in 15, 20 years that were like, hey, we're on, friends on Instagram or Facebook. We follow each other. But I hadn't talked to them. I'm not close to them anymore. From that perspective, they're reaching out to me and just saying, hey, did you hear the news? And I'm like, yes. And they were saying, okay, I let these others. So the word did get out there. I need to let his father know because I think he'll appreciate that to know there's still a lot of people that care about Jeremy and that, the news is getting out there. And then one of Jeremy's other pretty close buddies. They actually just went on a Vegas trip a couple weeks ago. And he reached out to me on Instagram and just said, hey man, give me a call. And so I talked to him for about 20, 30 minutes. He just kind of shared, his perspective and kind of where Jeremy was at with stuff and just said, hey, we had a really good conversation in Vegas, actually. Jeremy has kind of struggled, with friendships because he's trying to, navigate these different stages of life. And a lot of us are married and have kids. He was not married, did not have kids. So kind of just different competing lifestyles. And so, you feel like your friends aren't around because, they got a wife and kids. I think he was struggling with some of that, but this guy and Jeremy had stayed, pretty close, went on a trip together a few weeks ago. And he just said, we had a good conversation about friendships and perspective. And he said, he spoke so highly of you, Brandon, and said that you're always there for him. You guys talked a lot. He definitely considered you one of, if not his best friends. And, I didn't really, really, really know that. And so to hear that, this isn't about me. This isn't about me being a good guy or being a best friend. It's just, I was 3,000 miles away. He'd call me. It'd be 11 o'clock at night because it's 8 o'clock his time. And I couldn't always take the call or I'd already be asleep or, he'd call me when he get off of work. It's 4 o'clock for him. It's 7 here. I'm eating dinner or doing something with the family. So I didn't talk to him as often as I probably could have, but, just trying to make time and connect and catch up was something I tried to do as much as I could. And obviously it was something that he valued, which I really appreciate hearing those words. So, still kind of crazy. Yesterday was tough processing all of it, talking to people, either who I reached out to or who reached out to me. One of our best friends, from those years, I had to let him know they hadn't been friends for a few years. And he just, not only thanked me for letting him know, but then he reached out to me today and said, hey man, just want to know how you're doing. I know, it's a lot. I know you're closer to Jeremy. Just want to make sure you're doing okay. It just, that was really cool. It's just nice to know that people care. And then this guy who I talked to, who just got on the trip, actually got together a quick little hang with some people last night at one of the local watering holes. There's probably 10 or 12 of them. Sent me a picture of the get together. And I think I recognized 8, maybe 10 of the people. I mean, we all look a lot different. I may have known the other handful, or could have been new people that I don't know. I've been out for 20 years. But there's a lot of people that cared about him, do care about him and love him. And maybe didn't know it as much as he should have. That's how life happens, and that's sad. But anyways, it's a tough one. We had talked recently, he was like, hey, my dad's thinking about moving out to Georgia and, this is where he's at. I'm like, oh man, it's 4 hours from me, 5 hours from me. That's not crazy. Come out and visit. I go back to see my mom, like come down from Sacramento, let's get together. So we definitely tried to get the meet up in person thing, which is almost impossible, especially living, across the nation from each other. But still crazy to think he's gone. He's, same age as me, turned 44 in February. I'll be 45 in October, like young. And, he had his challenges in life. I think we all do. And he's trying to navigate, figuring stuff out. But just very sad that, someone, especially so young, is just gone. It's very sudden. It's very final. So, yeah, kind of a crazy day yesterday. Obviously, I didn't really know what that conversation was going to be. I know in conversations with him and his dad had some challenges and some things they're trying to figure out relationship wise. So I just figured maybe it's that conversation. Maybe something had happened, but he just wanted to reach out and say, hey man, I'm struggling with Jeremy. Maybe you can talk to him, like whatever it was. I don't know. Your mind quickly goes through that. That wasn't what I expected, to be completely honest. But here we are. So anyways, I miss you, man. I wish you would have gotten, on the other side of whatever, was going on. And just some of the saddest news that I've heard. I don't cry very often. I really don't. I can count probably on my hand, how often I've cried. Big ones obviously when my dad passed, my daughter was born, that type of stuff. Not to say I'm not emotional, like I can shed a tear, for sure. But this one just hit me, and I was trying to hold together on the phone with his dad. Wasn't super successful, but once I got off the phone, I was able to talk to Jess and let her know, and just lost it, man. Just a lot of big emotions, and had to move some meetings around. I was not in the right state of mind to be able to handle, whatever was, from a work perspective. So crazy day yesterday, a little bit better today, obviously. Still talking to a few people here and there. Don't know if there'll be a memorial, obviously with his dad moving and where things are. I just don't know. And if I'll be able to go back, I obviously would make every effort to do so if something happens. So hug your loved ones, call your friends, make sure they're okay. And if you've lost touch with friends, reach back out if they're important to you, because you never know. Life changes the flip of a hat. And really wish I would have called him and talked to him. I'm still curious what that funny story was. I'll never know. And that may have been the last thing I kind of remember. But it is what it is. It's life is life. And just, I miss you, man. I really will. Gone far too young, far too early. And man, just reach out to your friends, everybody. It's very important. Make sure everybody's okay. So, cheers. Full Oktoberfest. It was a 6%er. I don't think Jeremy was a huge beer drinker. At least when I knew him, when we hung out. But this one is for you, buddy. It's not a great pour. Story of my life, but I love you, man. Rest in peace. I hope you know or knew that you had a lot of people that cared about you, a lot of people that loved you, regardless of where you, what you thought, or where some of your friendships or relationships stood. Like, a lot of people cared about you, man. I can tell from the outpouring. Like I said, I've talked to people, they've reached out to me that I haven't talked to in probably 20 years. And I was one of the ones they knew to reach out to. And I don't know why Michaela's wearing a hideous
just needed a pair of scissors, and I went to Mom's office, and this was all I could find.
All right, well, that's good. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up. But anyways, rest in peace, Jeremy. I love you, man. I hope you know how much you were loved, because you are. You were and you are. And I know you're in a better place now, man. Good ones die young is what they say. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm not that good then. Probably live to be 100 at this rate. Rest in peace, Jeremy. I love you, man. I know a lot of people do too. So, cheers. That's it. Gonna wrap it up. 20 plus minutes on this video. I never know how long these are gonna go. I could probably talk for another half hour with some stories. I'd have to edit and change the names of people so they're not implicated, but I won't. Now's not the time or place. I just need to get this off my chest, share the story. Whether anyone watched this or not, it's not the intent. It's just for me to be able to get out and share my feelings. So that's what I wanted to accomplish. I hope I did it. Again, rest in peace, Jeremy. Gone way too soon. I love you, man. Until next time, deuces.